why don't
Right.
you? Is that good? Thanks.
So what we're trying to do here is not talk about any past behaviors or shortcomings or that has got nothing to do with it. We're talking about the future of the economic value, not just, well, firstly, financial value. Let's say that from a standard financial value, in terms of book value of being able to be backed by any gold or real estate, there's obviously there's no asset backing to Bitcoin, that's out of the way. And there's no income, the typical, that was the 100-year-ago asset value. The modern paradigm of security valuation is there's an income stream, a net present value of income. Obviously there's no income coming from it. Okay, so we've got that out of the way.
Can I just ask a question on the backing? Can you consider that Bitcoin is backed by a different asset, which is the confidence of the community that uses it?
Right, so this comes to the third point, which is the kind of
Good. Let's come back to
the MBA value, the business value, the bigger picture economic potential value. There's a lot of ways of looking at that. And we're looking more for angles on risk to valuation. It's very hard to definitively prove an economic valuation. It's just not a black and white.
On a confidence.
Right, so we're trying to pinpoint economic risks to the valuation here. Okay. So I'd suggest a good framework I did try to touch upon last night was look at the business angle, the technology angle, and then the regulatory angle.
And is Mike going on the right track here? Do you agree? Or
He's fine.
That's not a duel.
Oh, I haven't answered yet. At the end of the day, the whole concept of what crypto is about is utterly wrong. It is not about an asset that cannot be seized. Bitcoin is that easy to seize. You're going to see it next year. When you know the address, you can seize Bitcoin because there are less than 10 nodes that matter in BTC globally. There are even less in Ethereum. Those 10 nodes get a court order. Most of them are in China, a few are in Russia, a few in America. You follow, you do what you're told, you bend over to the government, and you let that bloody money order change go through. That simple. It's designed that way. I used to be a forensic auditor. I hate going into companies and finding records that have been changed. I've worked for a number of things in BDO where basically all the records would be updated and whatever else. I did this to ensure that wouldn't happen. Following things like Sarbanes-Oxley, 404, 302, and whatever else, all these requirements to have honest records. That's what Bitcoin can provide, and for the first time in human history, it gives us a real micropayment platform. That matters. Being able to have not ad-based Twitter, not ad-based Google, not a page of shit whenever I do a Google search, but paying 1,000th of a cent per search. That matters, and that's what we will have in the next 2 years. Not the 10,000 or so transactions we can do now, 10 million.
But Craig, that's more about the utility of Bitcoin.
That is what it is.
Rather than
not
the value.
about, that is value. Utility, tell me if I'm wrong, utility is value. Goods and services, things people want to use is value. Money is not value. Money is not wealth. You have been lied to. There is no great wealth creation because of new shitcoins. Money is not wealth. Goods and services are wealth. That is wealth. That TV is wealth. Your suit is wealth. Your haircuts are wealth. Wealth is the creation of value. Things people want. That's wealth.
Well, unfortunately, this is not that simple. It's just not that simple. Valuation is a
You're confusing valuation.
Well, but let him respond.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're taking valuation as you're doing it. That's a separate issue. How do you value a company? How do you value an asset? Well, you'll value Bitcoin because it will enable micropayments. I'm not anti-Visa. We have a patent that will be granted soon on allowing Visa to be 100% secure. Utterly. No more credit card fraud. Globally. Using alerts to your phone. Doesn't replace Visa. It will enhance it so that the price goes down. and we can handle their 50,000 transactions, and Swifts, and MasterCards, and Walmarts.
And so there's value in that as well.
And that's value.
Right.
So what do you see as the risks to the risk scenarios to the valuation arguments for Bitcoin?
If you're talking about the exchange shit show, we're talking about bucket shops. Guys like Binance, who are money launderers, whose whole purpose is to act outside the law, which MLD5 screws them all.
Sorry, Binance's whole purpose is to act outside the law.
Yes, that's why they keep moving jurisdictions. They jurisdiction shop. Malta has till the beginning of January to crack down on Binance, or Malta will get kicked out of the EU. That simple. What do you think they're going to choose? Binance? EU? I don't know about you, but I don't really think that Binance has much.
Craig, come back to us. You're giving a speech.
Let me give you why. Custodial wallets are included. You need KYC on a custodial wallet. Unfortunately for Binance, every exchange is a custodial wallet. No exchange lets you promise to pay later.
But let's get back to the topic. What do you think are the scenario risks to the valuation of Bitcoin?
Again, you're treating it like it's about trading, like gambling. It's not. It's use. Micropayments. In, out, buy, sell, done.
No,
Buy
the
$50 worth of Bitcoin.
question is simple.
Use Google for a week,
What
a
risks,
year, a
what
month.
risks, Craig, what risks, if any, could you suggest may impact on the long-term potential value?
Well, why do you ask that? Go give me detail.
Me.
Yes, I agree. He's right about that. He is part of the risk of the long-term value. But please, sir, there's no more.
My family trust owns a shitload of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Me, I'm the risk.
But you're quite an expert in this area. Can you suggest any potential risk we should think about to the long-term future valuation?
Mike, I need
Okay.
Come in.
Wrong issue. I don't care. That simple. I've got a great company with a great team. We're expanding. We're setting up new offices. Investment-wise, I don't need to do anything. People throw money at us if we want it. We're not actually taking any, and they keep offering it. People want us to do an IPO at nChain. Why? Because we have fucking patents. We have, let's see, Blockstream got $50 million per patent.
Okay, so we've heard all that. That's excellent. Now,
And again,
let's get on topic.
stop thinking it's about trading.
We've given
Use.
Thanks,
Craig.
Craig.
We given the topic. Our topic is valuation. Let's stick to it.
Mike, can I help you with one question?
Yeah.
I like you, Craig. You're doing a
Can
good
somebody
job.
run and get a microphone?
You've said smart things, but a specific question he will give a good answer to. Next year, 10 nodes are nailed. Russia, China, other places. Value is whatever it is today, 8,000 something. Where are we at in value on the trading screens? Next year, I'm good. Next year, this time, after the seizure. What's the plunge go to? And then is there a
Julian, make him
build-up?
hold the microphone or it doesn't get
I
the thing.
don't care.
Keep going.
I don't trade.
Neither do
I
I.
build
Neither do I.
things.
Neither do I. But what's it worth per Bitcoin? How much?
Hold the microphone up to his face. That's
Value
it.
per ounce, value per gram,
You
value
mean
per
BTC?
Bitcoin. Yes, that's it. BTC.
Probably 90%.
What's that?
I would guess 90%.
$8,000 deduction by 90%, Mike. So what's the price of Bitcoin today, guys? I don't know. 8,100, 10% of that. So $800.
Tell us your name again, please.
Peter Georgeson, Capital Sniper Investments.
Capital Sniper Investments. Awesome brand. Thank you. Don't go, Peter. We want you for more questions.
Okay, so this we've got a very specific question to talk about. It's just valuation, nothing else, right? Okay, so let's talk about valuation risks, technology risks. So there's 3,000 other coins. Do you think there's a chance that any one of those 3,000, and it's growing 30, 40, 50% a year of other new shit coins, is there a possibility that one of those coins becomes a better technology than the first Bitcoin?
If it does, and the first Bitcoin is mine, BSV, the one in the white
But I
paper.
mean, we're talking about, our topic is the value of Bitcoin BTC.
No, that's not Bitcoin.
But you did ask a good question. Let him answer that.
Bitcoin BTC is a fork. They added SegWit, they altered the whole thing. Very different. It's not the legacy. The legacy is the one I'm still working on. And my answer to you is SPV, patented. How we scale, patented. The use of double hashes the way it is, patented. Anyone else finds a way of doing this using my technology, nChain's fine. I'm fine. I'm happy.
So in other words, our debate is actually about BSV.
Bitcoin is BSV, yes.
Well, he believes that Bitcoin is
So our debate is about the
Satoshi
value of
vision.
BSV.
Well, when I said
But
set in
it
stone,
is Bitcoin.
I meant the protocol doesn't have a big shit show of developers going, we want to make today's change. Because you know what you can't do when you have developers changing every second week? Build.
Can I ask you,
Well,
what
here's
was
a-
your key argument? What was the one you wanted
Here's
to
an
come up
interesting
here and
area.
make?
So Craig wants us to talk about this whole topic debate.
Don't worry,
value of
make the
BSV.
argument you want to argue
Well,
anyway.
hang on, we were talking about the value of BTC, now we're talking about the value of BSV. Well, why not the other 3,000 coins? There's a lot of interesting, talented developers there. Sooner or later, we know one thing with technology, it only ever in the long term improves. Somebody will improve it. You get a better coin, why should any
The Wright
value
brothers
technology
built
value be
a
less than
shitty
the other
plane.
way?
And for 20 years, people paid them money because they had the first shitty plane. People built better planes. Technology improves.
But the point
Wright
is,
brothers still made money.
Craig, with respect to
nChain will still make money.
here, no, I mean, you're talking a lot, repeating things, but we're trying to say there's 3,000 coins. We're not even talking BTC anymore. You want to say this is all about BSV. Who's to say? My point is quite simply, there's 3,000 of them.
Yeah.
Technology ever goes forward. There's a lot of innovating developers who
Sure.
you don't like.
Are
Sooner
there?
or later, one of them innovates, come up with a better coin, then whatever BTC
Really?
started.
Before this, right?
I've got a patch, basically.
Well, that's good for you, but if you're the guy who buys BTC or no, you want them to buy
Well, no,
BTC
that's
or
very
whichever
simple.
one,
That's where we have said,
tech
if
substitution.
you use BSB, you don't pay money.
Tech
If you use
substitution.
these other things, you pay money.
With respect,
So,
this is not.
It's called
answering the question.
BSB has a built-in subsidy. Other things, pay me money.
You see, that's
Pay me money.
If I may,
I don't care.
That's a threat as well as.
That's not a threat. That's
Yes,
called
it is.
business.
It
If
really is.
you want to use Microsoft's patent, you pay them. That's called licensing. If you want to use Apple's patents, you pay them. Welcome to the world. You don't have to like me. I don't care.
We're going to come to questions of the audience. Mike, this
Right.
is it. Go for it.
But there are 3,000 coins. There are inevitably lots of new ones. There will eventually be better ones. It's not
All
about
on the same technology. Not one.
No. If you bought BSV, you're committed. We're talking about the value of one particular coin. We're not talking about the value of 3,000 of them. You bet on one of them. You don't know which is the next one that's going to become a better technology and undercut it. That's just common sense.
It's true.
If it's a blockchain, it's built on my technology.
But we're not talking about the value of the whole ecosystem. We're
I
talking
don't
value
care
of
about
one
the
coin.
ecosystem. Those other 3,000
Well,
can pay us.
our topic is, you put your money in one coin, can you trust that to be a long-term economic value? And the answer is...
Do you? That's not what Bitcoin's about.
Does Bitcoin?
No, meh. Bitcoin is for use, not for hoodle. Idiots, vacuous ones go, I want to hold my money and never spend because I've got a lump of gold I can worship. No,
Okay.
Bitcoin is to use.
Good. I think
No,
that
there
one
is-
more argument. Go for it.
So the first problem is that there's infinite number of potential new, we don't know, tech substitutes that completely undercut the economic value
There's
of any
an
one
infinite
coin you
number
bet
of
on.
phones.
Right, now the
And
second
Apple
point is...
wins because they own patents. You can copy an iPhone.
They're not winning.
Craig, he's going to make a
They're
second
doing
point.
fairly well. I mean, Steve Jobs is gone, and we know what the...
Craig.
So point one, you can't bet on any one coin, you don't know which is going to win. Point number two,
I can.
3,000 coins. Now, all those 3,000 coins, you want to consider them as an entire ecosystem, but hang on, there are other private blockchains such as UBS and JP Morgan are developing that will be stable coins competing with that 3,000
WP0032, bonds on a blockchain, being granted.
Good for you, not good for the investor in the coin we are talking about in the subject of this debate.
I don't care about UBS's thing other than they will pay us royalties.
But he's responding to your second point, I think. However, what I would say, though, is it's time to open up to the audience and give me some great questions to challenge the audience. Julian, leap to your feet and like a ninja, sprint to the first person with a great question, which is over the back there in the middle there. As you say your question, please say who you are. This is your moment to pitch. To tell us who you are.
People just call me Toshi. That's my name. I've just got a quick one for Mike. So I can't explain this. I can't take too long to explain this. But your question was basically the answer to is you cannot have a medium of exchange that operates on any kind of blockchain that isn't proof of work. Like the only challenge that BSV has got is Litecoin, and Litecoin's a joke. I can explain it to you later if you want.
Well, these
Craig, is that right?
I wouldn't even say Litecoin's a challenge.
That's a joke. Was that a question or a positive?
These are controversial technological arguments open into the debate. Now, the third point is regulatory. It's possible, is it not, that regulator decides sooner or later, okay, the original BTC, we don't really like it as a commodity anymore.
There's not the original BTC, there's the fork that became BTC.
But it's possible that regulators get tough and decide enough of this. Let's just make it harder and harder for these guys.
I'm doing a Doctor of Law. I'm meeting with people in the Law Commission. I'm meeting with legal professors to do that. So that the lies told by Mr. Bayes and others saying you can't take crypto are dispelled. You can thank me for that.
Next question,
I'm bringing that in.
And let's look at the direction of travel of regulatory approvals. The CME and CBO promised more futures on Ethereum, on Ripple, options of Bitcoin. I talked to them a lot. They promised, never delivered. In fact, they went backwards. Not only did they never approve any ETF, they actually disallowed the tracker fund in Sweden. There was, for 2 years, there was a tracker fund on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they cancelled it. They went backwards, not forwards. So I don't see where regulators are moving forward.
I'm not considering those regulators.
Well, that's
not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
the valuation.
FATF. I'm talking about the people who do anti-money laundering around the world. When I talk regulators, I'm talking the ones who do anti-criminal and proceeds of crime. Not, I want to trade. All this keeps being values in trading. Values not in trading. Values in use.
Okay, next question. Please say your name and your question.
Hi, my name is Carlo. I'm a blockchain consultant. I have a question for Craig. Let's assume that we take the leap of faith and we believe that you're Satoshi. So my question is, why didn't you patent Bitcoin before you released it?
Why didn't what, sorry?
Why didn't you patent Bitcoin before releasing the white paper and the proof?
2 reasons. One, Bitcoin's actually a system based on a Lamport signature chain. I didn't believe I'd be able to patent that. My lawyers have actually told me, no, we could get around and make sure that's patentable, but that's too late anyway. And 2, well, if that had happened, then people wouldn't be innovating and using it. So if I'd chosen that, I had a mailing list, CAGS, back in 2007, which was Compliance and Audit Governance Security, which was talking about all these issues, and for actually saying that we could start a system that allowed information sharing, that allowed privacy with anonymity, that allowed people to judge risk, I got called a clown. So basically, everyone made fun of me in 2007, so that's why I became Satoshi and released it that way. And I can't patent something without putting my name on it.
Next question, please, over here front. Please say your name and your question.
Steve Potmore. I'm curious to both of you, actually. If you believe patents can stifle or drive innovation, and in what circumstance do they stifle innovation? And the second part of my question is, what is your mission in life related to making the world a better place? Just curious.
Patents actually have been shown to increase innovation. if you take Dyson, for instance, Dyson loves to come out there and talk about his patent portfolio. Because every time he releases one, someone finds a new way of doing it outside of his. But if he didn't patent, people copy. So there are many new inventions trying to find a way around patents. For every patent, there's 10 new inventions looking at how to get around the patent. So that creates innovation. Without people bitch going, I've got to do stuff.
There's a trade-off. I mean, with pharmaceuticals, you have 10 years to make all your money, then it's off the patent cliff. There's a trade-off. Usually you need a certain timeline, a decay or some expiry of a patent. Is there an expiry on these patents?
There's expiry on every
How long are the expiries?
standard patent.
How long?
25 years, 30 years, 20 years. Depends on the country.
But if you disclose all the technology, you're right, that encourages a lot of innovation, and it's possible that somebody does figure out a better alternative technology, which then undercuts the value of the first one. And we know...
Go for it.
Right, so we know from the history of investing in technology that any one technology you care to name in the last 5,000 years, pretty much all of them have massively depleted over time. That technology, if you
The
bet
Wright
on
brothers.
that, if you bet on that
The Wright
hard
brothers.
technology, now if you bet on the technology company, which is constantly innovating, well, that includes all that depreciation, but they keep innovating. It's a dynamic system. But when you bet on just one hard coin technology by itself, you can be sure of one thing: the technology will sooner or later undercut it. So you look at the creation of
The Wright brothers. People didn't undercut them. Ever. They own winged planes.
Right, and winged planes, who uses them now?
Everyone.
We buy planes, nobody uses them.
I think we're going to
Everyone uses
I was given the mic, and
yes, but
just want to point out, I'm not sure why anybody was clapping at any point. I'm actually not sure why Mr. Wright was given the stage. He just admitted that he did not write the Satoshi white paper. He just admitted earlier that...
I know this is really difficult for you, Tone.
There
That's
is
not what I
an
said.
orgy of evidence that shows that everything he's ever published online is fraudulent. So why does anything he has to say going forward relevant?
Because Paul Tone, it doesn't matter what your vacuous ideas are. It doesn't matter whether you like my patents. It doesn't matter whether you like nChain. In 5 years' time, when we have another 1,000 patents granted, and we have IBM, and we have Microsoft, and we have Apple, and we have Google, and we have all these companies paying us money, you can choose not to have anything to do with me. The same way you can choose not to have anything to do with the internet.
That's exactly what you want. You are a mole trying to crash Bitcoin. Farmer Craig, pumpkin man Craig, go back to your farm, your pumpkins and your tomatoes, and grow a super farm.
Oh, sorry. With that, I created it. You get to live with how I
It's not going to matter because I expect you to be in prison within the next couple of years anyway for everything you've already done.
Sorry, it's not about who he is.
One point.
It's not
I have
about,
to make one
wait,
final point.
it's not about who he is. It's about the value of Bitcoin. It's about the value. Just keeping it focused, guys. I'm here to listen to the subject.
Keeping it that simple. Belief is not required.
please.
It's not a religion.
Okay.
1 point.
I haven't had a lot of points. I've been waiting for the
I've
expert.
invited you 7 times to say something. Go
Okay.
for it.
So, firstly, traceability. If traceability is complete, then most of the users believe that it's not going to help them to hopefully evade tax and regulation. That cuts out most of their economic arguments.
Oh, completely.
Thank you.
I've actually got things where your VAT will be paid
Case
You
closed.
got
instantly.
nothing. You got nothing and you are
Oh,
nowhere.
poor baby. Okay, let's just...
The point is more, but
No, there is
there's
no
one more point.
You may continue offline.
The other point is consumer surplus. Please do not
Now the
I don't care.
do not
You don't like
use
it.
consumer surplus.
You lose. Your fault.
In economics, you can have enormous consumer surplus that may be represented in a near zero price, such as water. 10,000 years ago, water was 10% of GDP. Now it's 0.001%. It's still the same consumer surplus value to us to survive. but the cost of production has gone right down. So value in use, you're quite right, doesn't necessarily mean long-term economic value.
I wish you had made some of these points when I first invited you to do so, but in the absence of us being able to continue this for the rest of the day, please put your hands together and thank our wonderful